Hello and welcome to my tutorial. This tutorial will teach you how to make a candy shaker card that has a gift card pocket and a rib tab. So this card here has this gorgeous little mason jar on the front. It is a shaky card. I've probably overfilled it, not so shaky, maybe just one less skittle in there. And so what happens is when you give this to the recipient, they'll be able to rip this open with this pull tab, and there's also a spot here for a gift card to pop in. So I know I've just used a little bit of bunting to make a little bit more of a decoration there. Look, you could leave it plain, you could do whatever you want with it, and just on here is a spot for you to write your message. So what a lovely way of giving a gift with not only a gift card but also a little bit of an extra sweet surprise. So for today's tutorial we will be using quite a few different Stampin' Up products. So first of all I'll go through some of the equipment. We will be using a few punches. So we've got this one here, well it's sort of a bit glary, which is the mason jar punch. Then we'll also be using a couple of these 6-in-1 punches. So I'll be using this one here. We'll also be using this other one here, which is new and has the banner and the point, which is a really good one. And then we'll also be using some dies. So first of all, a couple of basic ones which I'm finding have been really super great. This triangle set, and what we will be using from that is the largest triangle as well as the little banners. And the other thing we'll be using is from the layering circles dies, which is another basic sort of kit. I will be using a circle and the scalloped. Now just so we know what sort of size that is, that's probably about 2-inch circle. So it'll be 2-inch circle with the corresponding scallop with only the very short scallop edging around it. So they are quite good. And I've pulled out a couple of dies from a couple of other sets I've got. This one here is the Happy dies, which actually does coordinate with the stamp set I'll be using today. That comes with a great array of other little bits and pieces. Today, however, I will only be using this one sort of stitched border. And obviously, as you can see, it comes with lots of other bits and pieces, which will be fun, and I'll be doing some other things in future videos with those. And the last one, I'll be using one of these little, there's 2 of them in this set, which are, I think, are used to put together a tag and have some ribbon running through either end of it, just a little slot. So I'll be using that. As mentioned, the stamp set I'll be using today is this So Much Happy one. I will be using this nice big happy stamp, and then I will be using that nice cursive birthday script there. And the paper I'm using is Playing with Patterns Designer Series paper. So it's a 6x6 stack. And it's got some really gorgeous patterns in here. Actually, I must say the catalogue does not do it justice, because I sort of liked it and sort of thought, oh, that looks good. What drew me to it was the colours. I really like these colours together. However, when I did see it, you know, in person, I thought it was much more prettier than I had seen it in the catalogue. So definitely worth a go if these are some colours you love, and just some good sort of, you know, all-rounder type patterns, not for any specific occasion, and pretty funky there. Now the other thing I forgot to mention is one of our main elements, which will be the shaker holding the candy. I'll be using Skittles today. However, you may put in whatever candy that might fit in there. M&M's would also be a good one. However, we're heading into our warmer months, so just so that we don't have any bright messes inside there with some melted chocolate, I've decided to go for Skittles. So basically I will just be using a half piece of A4 cardstock for the card base. So you can just use half a sheet of whatever paper it is that you use for your standard card base size. Then what I will be doing is on the front, there will be a piece that runs the length of whatever your cardstock will be, and that will be 3 inches wide on that 4 1/8 wide, I think it is. And then we'll also have this piece on top, which will be just half a inch shorter, which will be 2 1/2. And then on the inside, that will sit just in behind that. That's just matted at 8 1/2. Oh, sorry, 8 1/2. Sorry, an 1/8 shorter all round on that side there. Now, just a couple of other pieces. So I will be using Pool Party as card base. So coordinating with that, I have that scalloped circle, and that will be in Pool Party as well, and that'll sort of just sit on the front there. And then I've got the coordinating circle that goes with that, which I think I said was about a 2-inch circle. Some other bits that I've done already. So what I did is, so this is where this awesome 6-in-1 punch comes in handy. So what I've done is I've banded the ends just to save time. Obviously I've heat embossed happy on that one there, and this is great because you can do 3 different widths for each one of these designs, which is fantastic. So it's 6 punches built into one. And then what I've done is just with the smaller script, I've just fussy cut around that, and that will sit just on there. And then on the inside, so as promised, this card will have a little spot for a gift card holder. So what I've done is I've used a triangle to make a pocket. We will attach that just like that. And then just on the inside, just for a little extra decoration, we're just going to put some of this bunting just with our little ties there. Firstly, what we're going to do is we're going to mat these two together and stick them onto the front of our card, because what we will be doing is punching out our mason jar so that we can get that started. So just with some tape runner. Just centering that as best as you can. One on top of the other. And then what we want to do is put our card base over. Okay, so what we'll be doing, this will be running from the top to the bottom, and we're just going to center that as best as we can. So what I will do once again is I will also tape runner this on. Okay, so once again we just want to center this as best as we can. Now it just makes it easy, we don't have to worry about any sort of measurements or anything like that. We're just going to center everything, and that way it'll make it nice and easy for us to center all of this. So that will be great. Okay, so there we go. We've got the front of our card base happening there. So next we need to, now what we need to do is we will need to put this card base in as far as it will go. And this is pretty much the width of this punch, as you might be able to see this matting underneath. So what we'll do is just align that as best as we can, as centered as we can, and punch it out. Will be a bit stiff because we've got 3 layers there, but that's come out great. Now, so nice and easily, we're just going to be taking off this first layer of adhesive. So there's adhesive on both sides of this, which makes it so easy. You don't have to fiddle around with glues and other bits and pieces. You just need to drop that in there, and that should fit in snug and perfectly fit. I'll continue just to get all these little pieces together. That'll just make things a lot easier if everything's ready to go. Comes the trickiest part to this card. So what we want to do is we want to put this matte layer, which will sit about 1/8 of an inch round inside this side of the card base. Now what that's going to create is a backing for our mason jar here. I wanted to create a card where I could gift someone something inside there which they could actually access, however not pull the whole card apart to get to it. So what I did is I played around, came up with an idea where I would make a little slit, then I would use this stitch line to create indents so that you could just pull that little tab away and get inside and get to that candy. Before we pass through our dies on this matted piece that's going to fit in behind the mason jar, what we need to do is mark a few little guidelines. So what I've done is I've marked up from the bottom edge 1 1/8 and then another 1/2 inch up, and then from the left hand side I've measured in 1 inch and then another 1.5 inches, so 2.5 inches. So it'll just give us a really rough guideline of where we want that to be. As long as it's covering over that mason jar. If you want to move it up or down, that's up to you, but I found this worked well. So what we need to do then is we need to start with our little slot piece. So we'll just grab a little bit of tape. Now you will definitely want to make sure that this is stuck on, because you don't want this to move. It needs to be placed in the right spot. So what we're going to do is just measure, so that will sort of sit, oh sorry, I'm putting it the wrong way around. So that's just sort of got to sit in between those two. So let's sort of try and work this out. Yep. So I want that just to sort of be in between there, up on that edge. So what we'll do is we'll pass that through. Okay, so now you'll see that your slot has been cut out. And now we just need to line up our stitching piece, which will make the perforation in our card. So what I've done, I'll just show you here, is just so I have a rough guideline where that stitching line is, I've put just a piece of tape along the very edge of that, folding it over, so that lets me know roughly what the very edge of that stitch line is. So as I said, sort of, we're only using this as a guideline. We want to keep this straight. So basically, if I have that line there just sort of inside that edge, that will be okay. So we just don't want it on the outside here. We want it to sit just inside there. So that's roughly, you know, that 1/2 inch width is roughly going to be working fine. So you just want to have that as straight as you can. Just pop that up to the very line, so then you've got the stitching starting where it needs to. I'll just grab another piece of tape. Now you definitely want to tape that down so you've got a nice straight line. And then we'll pop that in and run it through again. Now this will only be a partial cut. That other 1.5 inches across is where we want this to stop. So we will feed Oops, I might have to move this out. But what you want to do is only feed the top plate up until that point. So that will make sure it'll only cut to there and not beyond that. So that's all lined up, ready to go. And then we're pretty much doing the same thing again, but just on this other side. So I'll just lift that up. So as you can see, it's just sitting inside there. Make sure you're using a tape that's not going to rip your paper. And then the same again, so roughly along there. Nice straight line lining that top bit up with just that there. Put that in. Okay, so once again we're just putting it on that mark. Feed it through. Once again, then what you should have is just those two lines. So as you can see, they're just inside there, and basically what's going to happen is this pull tab will fit in between those two lines, and that's what you want to see. You want to be able to have just the slightest bit on either side there. Where you can see these little slits, so hopefully you can see that these little either side of the blue tab, pardon me, I'm just going to hover that over, so roughly where that's going to be, I'm just going to hover that over where that tape is. What I want to do, and I've just got like a little craft knife, is I'm just making a little indent, because what you want to do is you want to keep a piece of tape on there so that it's not actually going to stick to everything, and then all of that hard work's gone to no use. So what I've done is I've marked that there, and then I've just cut through that backing tape, and then what I'm going to do is I will just lift that up. Oh, easier said than done. And then I will just lift that off. So what you'll have is you'll have just that little piece there that just has the backing still on the tape, and the rest of that is off. So I'm just going to open these Skittles. So just one of these little handy packs that comes out, a pack of 12 or whatever, those little mixed packs will be plenty. I mean, if you're a Skittle lover and you have a big packet, even better. So we're just going to mat this now. Obviously nothing anywhere near that sort of pull tab. Oh, I suppose it doesn't really matter on that side there, does it? Actually, we don't really want it. Sort of in where those lollies are going to be. That actually is something we don't want. Okay. Now, if you were going to give this card to someone and not unsell it or give it to someone else to give to another person, you could actually write your message on before you stick it all together. However, I will just, for the sake of this tutorial, I'll just be putting it on as so you should be able to see that little bit of backing tape still on there. That'll give you a guideline as to how to put that on. Now obviously turn it over so you don't squash your gorgeous little mason jar there. And how cute is that? So cute. Now you do have that little blue band through there, which I don't think is the worst thing. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could put some paper in behind it if you really wanted to. I mean, when you're sort of doing this layer, maybe don't sort of put the sticky tape through there, and then that'll just come off and then you can put it on underneath. However, that's up to you. I'm just going to pop that on flush because it already does have dimensionals. I just don't want to, actually I'll put a little bit of glue on that as well because it's puffed up. It's not going to really work so well. great. So I'll just center that as well, which will be cute. And our last bit will be just to attach our pocket for our card. So we've got the bunting that's going to sit on the inside, like so. And then we've also got our card. So what you might like to do, I think I'm going to run, you could run the card either way. I just think for the design of this one here, just keeping it simple in here, I will be just running that like that. So I'll just attach those in. I'll just put a little bit of glue on those. Now what you want to do is with this pocket here, you'll want to just put the littlest bit of glue either on the edges of that, or you could use just a really thin 1/8 inch double-sided strong tape. I think 1/4 inch will be probably just a bit too wide. But look, just see how you go. You just obviously just measure it up as you best can. Now, I think what I will do is I will put a very thin bit of tape just so that I can quickly get this done. Oops. Sorry, I'm just making a big mess here today. Oh, I haven't done a very good job of that at all, sorry. We want that as close to the edge as possible. That's why we're using this thinner tape. As I said, if you ran a very, very, very narrow line of glue, wet glue, along that liquid glue along there, that would also be okay, but obviously you'd have to wait for that to dry before you could put your card in. Otherwise it is going to probably not adhere and stick so well. So yeah, so you just want to do the two sides, because obviously the third side will be open to be the pocket section of your the opening of your pocket. Now, so I mean, you can just use the card as a guideline. So just a little above the bottom. Oops. Just popping that down. So once again, as I said, you can write your message in there, then you pop your card in there, and there you go. So now for the excitement of it all, let's see, does it work? So yeah, so I think by having that first little bit cut off there, you just pull that, and there you go. Voila! I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If there's any of these supplies that you would like to buy, I will have links to them direct to my Stampin' Up store. I'd love to see any that you make, and hopefully you'll make some either little kid or big kid very happy with this card. Thanks so much for watching.